You're experiencing the latest in on-the-water action and current information. This is the Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy Silverado, the official truck of the outdoors.
If you're one of those folks that's never caught a true trophy-sized largemouth bass, I mean a 10-pound plus, a double-digit bass, then today's episode is for you. Hi everybody, welcome into the show and welcome to the single best opportunity for you to catch a giant largemouth bass. Yes, the pre-spawn time of the spring is here across our southwest region. And in varying degrees from the south part of the region all the way up into northern Oklahoma, we have largemouth bass moving shallow, getting ready to build nests, lay their eggs, and the spawn will be on. As our test tube today, I'd like to welcome you into Lake Ray Roberts between Sanger and Pilot Point, Texas. We'll take the Nitro Z8, check out the bass fishing, and show you how you can catch a great big one. In the meantime, we're going around the region for your very latest fishing reports. We'll be checking the fishing on a lake near you. Also this week on the Lawrence Hot Lake of the Week, I'll be showing you one of my favorite springtime bass fishing lakes over in East Texas at Lake Bob Sandlin. Also on this week's Big Catch of the Week photo, we'll show you a giant largemouth bass from Lake Belton. Also later on, we'll have your expert answers to your fishing questions on the Ask the Pro feature, and I'll have your Academy right stuff. As you well know, a cold front came through last weekend, dropped our air temperatures by about 30 degrees early this week across the region. It also dropped the water temperatures down a little bit, so as you can see, it's cool out here this morning. Let's get out and check it out. Right now, you go back to the FSN studios. Here's your Chevy Weekend Planner.
A check of the fishing tables indicates that you will need to be on the water in the mornings to experience the best daylight fishing times. The peak hours will begin around 10 a.m. on Saturday and at 10:30 on Sunday. Look for the sun to rise at 7:14 and to set at 7:48. And we'll have a new moon on Sunday. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. We'll be right back with an update from Oklahoma. Plus, we've got all the latest reports from around our region. Stay with us.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy, is brought to you by Chevy Silverado, the official truck of the outdoors. Buy quality award-winning Tracker boats. Fish the finest. Lawrence, maker of the HDS high-definition system. And Academy, right stuff, low price, every day.
Oh, I got one. Doesn't feel very big. Nope, he's not very big, but it's a start. Oh, we're after something a lot bigger than that. Hey, welcome back everybody, your Southwest Outdoors Report. Lake Ray Roberts today, talking a little about pre-spawn bass. That's a little male and he's key in the process. Let me tell you why. Those little guys will migrate into the coves, creeks, and ditches first, and they make the nests. So a lot of times if you're up shallow this time of the year, you're going to see some fish actually sitting in shallow water on some beds. Those are the little males. But if you back off, and I'm throwing a lipless rattling crankbait right now, and one of my favorite colors in the spring is either a red or a bright orange, and back off, fix this number in your mind, 6. If you will stay in 6 feet of water, you'll have your best chance to catch a really big bass right now in the spring. Okay, pre-spawns going on all around our region right now. Let's check on Oklahoma, see what's going on there with Gary Dollahan, the Sooner Beat.
You know, I was really hoping I wasn't going to have to get this big coat back out of the closet, but this is Oklahoma and it is springtime. These temperatures are going to continue to go up and down for the next several weeks, and we're just going to have to deal with it as anglers. For crappie, look at Pine Creek and also Lake Eufaula. Both of those still have good, really good reports of crappie coming in from both places. Start shallow on the banks. If they're not there, keep working out a little bit farther. You shouldn't have to go more than 8 to 10 feet deep to find those fish right now because they are wanting to come to the banks. As far as the white bass, continue to go into the upper ends of the rivers, up above the lakes, or below the dams where you have some current. those white bass are making their spawning runs at this time. Also had a really good report from Donnie Jenkins over at Canton Lake that says those walleye are starting to hit there now below the dam after sundown into the nighttime hours. So another good spot that you might want to check out. Trout fishing, the lower Illinois below Lake 10 Killer continues to be really good for trout on dry flies on the surface and also rooster tails. One thing about it, you can't catch them if you don't go.
One of my favorite springtime bass fishing lakes in our entire region is in northeast Texas near Pittsburgh and Mount Pleasant, and it's Lake Bob Sandlin. Why? Because it's a little less crowded on an average weekend day, and it's a bass numbers lake. Not a lot of trophies, but a lot of largemouth bass. So let's show it to you right now on the Lowrance HDS10 with the Insight Shaded Relief Mapping optional feature. And you can see the lake is located northeast of Pittsburgh, Texas, south of Mount Pleasant and Mount Vernon on I-30. Cypress Springs Lake is on the west end of the complex. Lake Monticello here is on the north end, and Bob Sandlin is the largest on the south. It's 9,000 acres, max depth of 65 feet, built in 1977. Now we zoom to a tighter shot of just Bob Sandlin, and we switch to the Navionics Hot Maps Platinum chart to show you that the bass spawn first in these creeks on the north shore where the water warms here first, protected from the cold winter winds and the cold fronts that come through in the spring. We zoom in again to show you one of these creeks and give you some detail, and we tell you that the bass migrate into the creeks along these deeper water drop-offs where you can catch them on jigs and worms. Ultimately, they'll move into these pockets and along the shallow shorelines to make nests and lay eggs. Once they do that, you can catch them on rattle baits, spinner baits, soft plastic jerk baits, and a Texas rigged lizard. That's this week's Lowrance Hot Lake of the Week, Lake Bob Sandlin in northeast Texas. Stay tuned. Cajun Phil and Kevin are up next from Louisiana with your Cajun Bites.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy, is brought to you by Stren, the standard of dependability, by Jean LaRue Lures and Bobby Garland Baits, quality soft plastic baits made in Oklahoma with American pride. Chevy Silverado, the official truck of the outdoors, and Mercury Marine.
There's one. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's a big one right there. Big old spinnerbait bass right here. Welcome back, everybody. Up she comes. Oh, look at that. You're on your Southwest Outdoors Report. And here's what can happen in the springtime when you've got these pre-spawn females running around. Don't get off. Don't get off. There she comes. Oh, big one. Yeah. Easy, easy, easy. No, 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 no. Big old fat belly. All right, look at that. There we go. That's a Ray Roberts special right there. That's exactly what can happen this time of the year. We've been talking about pre-spawn female largemouth bass, and I caught one right there. That's a good, oh, I don't know, 7-pound bass, maybe something like that. She is getting ready to spawn, and let me show you why. Right here behind us, we can pull back just a little bit. She's on the outside of a little cove, a little neck, a little ditch that comes in right back around to the left. And that big old bass is gonna go up there and spawn, and I'm gonna put her right back. She's full of eggs. She's perfectly fine. Get a breath, baby. All right. There she goes. Well, that, my friends, is very exciting. These bass are aggressive. They're not on beds yet, and this is the most active you're going to find the fish any time of the year is just before they get ready to move up there, make those nests, and lay those eggs. You can catch the bass of a lifetime, your personal best, if you'll spend some time doing what we're talking about today. All right, let's go east, see what's going on in freshwater and saltwater in the state of Louisiana. Here's Cajun Phil and Kevin.
Hi friends, Cajun Phil here with your Fox Louisiana Fishing Report. I'm telling you what, I'm excited. I've been on the phone call talking to a few people. Talked to Joe Jocelyn. He's a guide up at Toledo Bend. Joe says, Cajun, right now we're catching lots of bass. we're wacky worming them. Wacky worming in about 8 to 10 foot of water right above the grass. He says purple wacky worms are working really well. Also the watermelon color. Tell you what, also he said lots of anglers were catching white perch in very shallow water. They were using a little poppycork with a little small tiny bass assassin on there, and they were doing great on the big white perch. That's up in Toledo Bend. Over in Caddo Lake, we made a phone call up there. A couple of guys said they're still catching lots of bass on Caddo, mostly on spinner baits though right there. As far as the saltwater scene goes, made a lot of phone calls. Down in Venice, Louisiana, talked to Chris Calloway. They said coming in with a lot of blackfin tuna right now, a few amberjacks, also a few dolphin. Over at Delacroix, talked to Captain Jack. They're catching lots of redfish, shallow water, and I tell you what, they're catching them on spoons and on jigs, but there's so much grass right now, they're throwing it on the weedless jig head, and they're catching lots of redfish. Till next time, this is Cajun Phil, then happy fishing, and may God bless you. We'll see you next week right here on Fox Sports Southwest.
Well, let me spend just a couple of minutes here explaining why largemouth bass can be so very difficult to catch when they're actually on their nest spawning, and why they're so aggressive right now during the pre-spawn. Now, these fish have all been out in deep water all winter long. They've been very lethargic, not feeding very much at all, just barely enough to stay alive. But when the water temperature warms, the eggs ripen, all those fish instinctively move towards shallow water, and they instinctively know that they've got to feed up for the rigors of the spawn. Spawning is a very difficult activity for both the males and the females. It's a very active time. They know they need energy, and they will attack any kind of a moving bait. We'll show you those baits coming up in just a couple of minutes. But right now, stay with us. We take a quick break. When we come back, Brian Hughes is up next with your Texas freshwater fishing reports, and Bill Olson is on the coast.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy, is brought to you by Abu Garcia for life. By Navionics. Enjoy Navionics anytime, anywhere. By Whataburger, just like you like it. And by Motor Guide Trolling Motors.
Oh, I got one. Right off this grass bed. Oh, it's a big one, I think. It is a big one. I got to push my button. That's a monster. Take my time with him. Oh, we got off. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable. No telling how big that fish was. Oh man, well, I'll tell you what, that's very disappointing, but let me tell you, this time of the year, on lots of lakes around our region, if I can let my heart quit pounding enough, you saw that fish. He had my rod completely doubled. He went completely under the boat, out the other side, and then just pulled off. I'm throwing a lipless rattling crankbait right now. I'll show you at the end of the show on the Academy Right Stuff. There are only 3 baits that I really need on this time of the year. They're all moving baits because these are the most aggressive fish you're going to find any time of the year right now. These pre-spawn bass will run out and just absolutely attack a moving bait. So you don't need to spend a lot of time fishing real slow this time of the year. So we'll check up with that a little bit later. I'm going to catch my breath here and try to get over the disappointment of losing. I've already caught one big one today, but that one was much bigger. That was maybe a double-digit fish. All right, here's Brian Hughes, your Texas freshwater fishing report, the Lone Star Lakes.
Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by realrecovery.org. Now this week we're going to East Texas again, this time Caddo Lake, where last year they set a new lake record with a Sherrilunker that weighed over 16 pounds. Well, they've given up another 16-pounder this year. You know what? It was the same fish, proving catch and release really works. Now, when I fish on Caddo Lake, I really like to fish the cypress knees, and I use several baits for that, including a soft plastic jerkbait like the Cinco, a hard suspending jerkbait, and of course a jig and pig and a Texas rig lizard. I'll work out and around and in and inside those knees in the cypress trees looking for that big fish. Also want to let you know the Texas High School Bass Championships are coming to Lake Belton on April 9th. All high school students are eligible for this tournament, and you can go to Texas High School Bass Championships on the web and find all you need to know about registration, entering, and all of the rules. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by realrecovery.org. Let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. He's on the coast.
Hi folks, Texas Outdoors Journal brings you this week's report. For the very best monthly coastal and inland fishing information, plus year-round hunting tips, check out our award-winning publication. Pick up a copy of TOJ on newsstands or subscribe securely at the website on the screen. Well, water temperatures along much of the Texas coast has eclipsed the magical 70-degree mark. Some of the best action for boaters and rock walkers has been around the granite structures of Texas coast. Sabine, Galveston, and Freeport jetties, the little jetties at Port O'Connor, Port Aransas, and Port Isabel have all seen their share of sheepshead, black drum with scattered specks and redfish. The best action has come on live shrimp. East Galveston Bay, South Shoreline has given up some good speckled trout on topwater baits and soft plastics. The best area has been from Fat Rat Pass to Yates Bayou. Now, spring winds continue to blow hard on some days, and the land cut remains the place to catch solid numbers and size of speckled trout. Fish the west side of the channel right on the edge of the grass line with either live shrimp or bass assassins under a Mauler-type float. Now, out of Port Isabel, the area from Holly Beach to the Cullen House, as well as Gaswell Flats, is producing good specks and reds on live shrimp. Longbar is giving up good trout on a variety of baits. This weekend, both Saturday and Sunday have a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low tides each day. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
Let me dispel a myth that a lot of anglers believe, and that's that the best bass fishing happens during the spawn. That is absolutely not true. As a matter of fact, your chances of coming home without a fish, getting skunked, are greater during the spawn than any other time of the year. But right now, during the pre-spawn, is when the bass are the most aggressive. And I'll talk to you about why coming up in just a couple of minutes. But stay with us. We'll take a quick break. Word from our sponsor.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy, is brought to you by Academy. Right stuff, low price, every day. Nitro Performance Bass Boats. Fish your best in a Nitro. Costa Del Mar Sunglasses. See what's out there. And by Chevy Silverado, the official truck of the outdoors.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for our Ask the Pro feature. Our question this week is from Richard in Belton, who writes, is monofilament line disappearing altogether on the pro circuit? For the answer, let's ask Bassmaster Elite Angler Terry Butcher.
Most everybody I know has switched to a fluorocarbon line or a braid, but there is still a place for monofilament. Anytime you're throwing I still throw a buzz bait, topwater baits, I still throw on monofilament line because it doesn't sink in the water, it keeps your bait up on top. You can't throw it like a Zara spook on a fluorocarbon line because your line will sink and your bait will start diving and it won't stay on top. So you still got to stay with monofilament on stuff like that, but most of the other baits, I think most everybody else has went to a fluorocarbon or a braided line.
If you have a question for one of the pros, just visit our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com, click on the Ask the Pro link, and send us your information. Now let's get you back to Barry for our Whataburger Big Catch of the Week.
Our congratulations this week go to the Big Catch of the Week winner. He is Waylon Holden of Gatesville, Texas. Waylon is shown with an 8-pound, 9-ounce largemouth bass he caught down in Central Texas out of Lake Belton. Now, if you'd like to send us your big fish photo, it's very easy. Go to our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com and your photo could be seen right here on the show. Time right now for this week's Academy Right Stuff, the equipment you'll need to catch these pre-spawn bass. Let's talk about lures for just a moment. At the top of your screen is a lipless rattling crankbait. I love a red, orange, or a hot chartreuse color like this one. That's the one that giant fish bit there toward the end. Then about a 1/2 ounce spinnerbait. I love a Colorado blade and a willow leaf blade in a gold color as my blade choices. And finally, a soft plastic jerkbait like this Jean LaRue you see here, rigged with a big 6/0 offset worm hook, and sometimes I'll put a little weight inside the body. Well, the cold front really did drop water temperatures about 5 degrees or so and shut the fishing down a little bit, but as you saw at Lake Ray Roberts, the bites we did get were pretty good sized, including one giant. You really don't hear me whining very much about losing big fish because that's just part of fishing. However, I will say that is one of the largest bass I've ever had on the end of my line. You saw I couldn't do very much with that fish at all. It swam completely under the boat, back out the other side, jumped. I saw the fish jump on the other side. It was a true monster, but we'll never know. Hey, I want to mention that our show will be on next Thursday night at 10:30 or immediately after the Dallas Stars hockey game if the game runs long. If you're going to set your DVR or TiVo, set it for Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. Our show time never changes on Saturday morning. And you can always watch the past week's episodes right on the front page of our website, and you can always catch all of our archived episodes on our YouTube channel, youtube.com. Search for Southwest Outdoors Report and click on the channel. Hey, thanks for joining us from Ray Roberts. We'll see you next week. Till then, I'm Barry Stokes saying be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.